Welcome back to the QAD Customer Podcast. Very excited to have you back here today. Today we have a unique episode with a presentation from MiTek. The account management there, Melissa Sin, is going to bring us through her experiences with a solution called DocLib. If you're not familiar with PIC's DocLib, you can check out their webinar series on doclibwebinar.com. They bring you this podcast as a part of their partnership with QAD. So without further ado, I want to play the recording from the webinar that Strategic Information Group and PICS put on along with MiTek to highlight the experiences MiTek had with automating their accounts payable. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Sin, and I've been working at MiTek as an accounting specialist for 3 years. And they put AKA VP of DocLib because I tend to be the go-to person for anything related to DocLib, unless it's IT related. But for the most part, I'm pretty much have taken the lead when my management team decided to implement DocLib. So first, I'll just start about a little history. I wasn't a part of the decision-making process, but the beginning of 2019, our CEO announced that we would be doing a major restructuring of our company to align with our one MiTek vision as kind of a global entity. Right away, January 1st, we added 5 subsidiaries onto QAD. And those were smaller subs that were brought on. They were our software, so not a whole lot of AP going on. But my management team knew that we needed an automated solution because the plan was to add on more manufacturing sites and also acquire new companies. So kind of our current process of printing out those emails, opening mail, and then manually keying them in. And for the people that do use QAD, you get through the process and then maybe there's no receipts and then you have to reverse that record out and then try to track down the receipts and that's all that checking. And then once it was fully entered into QAD, to get that document into a searchable library, we would have to wait until the next morning and then a QR code would print off. So there would be another sheet of paper that would print off. Then you'd have to match each one up to each invoice and then scan that in to our searchable library. I think that was very time consuming when you're talking about processing hundreds of invoices, per week. And that was just for myself. Also, really isn't very environmentally friendly because, in AP, it's a lot of paper. Sometimes it is easy to see when it's printed out, but just that printing and then another piece of paper printing off for each record the next day just seemed to be kind of like a waste of paper. So then we began the implementation process with DocLib. So just since the beginning of 2019, we have added 18 sites under our umbrella, under MiTek, and we have only hired 1 full-time AP person. So 5 of those were software companies, but 13 of those locations were 13 manufacturing plants added on, and only 1 person had been hired to help out since we implemented DocLib. And currently, I process invoices for 19 different locations. My management from the beginning was really, their main topic was the hit rate or the pass-through rate or the touchless invoice processing. Out of our invoices, my management would have, kept telling us even if 50% of our invoices would go through automatically, just how great that would be. That was kind of our goal. Like, even if we had half go through, that would be such a, huge relief. In August of 2019, that was the first month we had implemented DocLib. Pretty much right off the bat, we had an average of a 60% pass-through rate or hit rate. My management team was pretty happy with that. Well, now that I only had to really look at 40% of invoices, I was able to start kind of researching, running different reports out of DocLib to see which ones kind of weren't going through for our larger vendors. So I would work to make improvements with our vendors. And then also I would be providing some training documents to our QAD users. And by January of 2020, we increased our hit rate to 78%. Currently, I could probably go almost a week without even checking my open workflow, and I would have like maybe 30 items in there, and I submit 300 invoices a week. So that is just really nice to just not have to have, like Stephen was saying, the manual entering of the day-to-day, the printing out these invoices, matching them up to barcodes. Just this process had just made it so much more efficient for my AP team. So my next point I wanted to bring up was kind of a huge change for us, is that I'm officially not working any more overtime this year. So with our restructuring and integrating sites, I know it's really great. So with our restructuring and integrating sites onto QAD, myself and another employee, I'm just like even thinking, man, that was just a year ago when we actually went live, and we were working, 12 hours of overtime per week. So 24 hours of overtime for 2 employees. The bad part was we were still 60 to 75 days behind in processing our AP invoices in one of our mailboxes. It was so stressful to just work that much but still be that behind. But between August, when we went live, and December, we were finally able to start to see that light at the end of the tunnel, where our AP was getting caught up, and I had trained all of our other AP team, and they were, really catching on and getting a good handle. And that basically resulted in a better work-life balance for myself and for one of our other employees, that we, didn't have to spend, 10 to 12 hours a day getting phone calls, like even like Stephen had mentioned, the credit holds, the past dues, the having to put stuff on the credit card the last minute just so production wouldn't stop. That's more stressful than where we're at today, where we pay for the services for DocLib and everything is taken care of and caught up. So the last thing is really kind of started this year with some different cost savings initiatives, especially with the pandemic. My management team was trying to find, who could save our company some money. And since I had this huge workload that was taken off my entire AP department, we were able to start shifting the workload. So there were 2 employees that found themselves needing more work, which I don't know about most people, but when someone says like they need more work, that's really nice. Like they're not saying they're overwhelmed and they're ready to take on more responsibility. So I was able to start shifting some of my AP responsibilities to them, which then allowed me to start focusing on researching other ways that I could save my company money. And one of the first things I noticed was that the credit terms code in QAD that was set up in the supplier data did not always match what was on these invoices. And since I only had to look at not that many invoices, it started to stand out a little bit more. Within DocLib, I reached out to Juliana and said, can we add this field as a column so I can easily start looking at some of this data? Realizing that there were about 20 suppliers that we spend millions with each year that were set up as a net 30, when in fact they get 1 or 2% if we pay in 10 days. So we got some of those changed, and also with being able to keep the AP caught up, the invoices were entered more timely. So the chances are that they were going to get paid in that 10-day window to get that extra discount. So after about 6 months, I decided to see how much of my research really made any impact. I changed these vendors, I started making sure the AP was caught up, and then I ran a GL report, and just in the first 2 quarters of this year, we had taken $275,000 more in discounts than we did the first 2 quarters of 2019. that was huge. When I sent that to my management team, showing them how much pay early discounts just by simply paying our vendors early that I can save my company, they were shocked and they were very happy. Normally I only update every quarter, but I did run my numbers for July. Every month I've noticed that it's just increasing even more. So just in July alone, we took $95,000 more in pay early discounts than we did in July of 2019. So that resulted in reducing our AP expense by $370,000 in just 7 months. So between that and the cost savings of not having to work overtime, which is between $25,000 and $30,000, just in 7 months, saving $400,000 this year. And that's what I think a lot of VPs of finance, presidents, they want to see that bottom line. And I can show them that this $400,000 way offsets the cost of purchasing an automated AP system like DocLib. But one thing I will say is that I really could not have gotten these results if it wasn't for working with such a great team on the DocLib side. Specifically working with Juliana, because she was there for me if I ever had a question or needed something to be retrained, or maybe I didn't catch on one aspect. And she would schedule a meeting, get something on the books, and show me before something became too much of a problem. And if she needed to reach out to her other team members in her IT department or whoever, they always work together and were there for me to get me kind of to customize how we wanted DocLib to look with our QAD system. So I really could not thank her enough. Even to this day, it's kind of sad when sometimes I don't have a problem because I miss reaching out to Juliana. But I love, keeping in contact with her, and it's been fun working with her and Steven through these kind of events of sharing my testimony with everyone. So I really couldn't thank her enough for making my life easier and saving my company money.
Thank you again for joining us here today on the QAD Customer Podcast. Excited to have you as a part of this podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. We'll be giving out $25 gift cards to those who are kind enough to leave a review, so make sure you don't forget to do that before you go today. Also, if you want to re-listen to the entire webinar and series, and including the demo of the solution that Melissa was speaking about here in this episode, go to doclibwebinar.com and you can check out this webinar in its entirety along with the demo. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Bye.